What's up, boys and girls? I hope you're enjoying this winter tips and techniques series. We've talked about the Alabama rig. We've talked about the shaky head. We did the finesse jigs. Today we're going to work on tubes. We're going to stay on the bottom talking about dragging stuff around. And the tube is one of my favorite baits to go to in the winter time. Hey Ella, what's your favorite color of tube?
Watermelon candy. That's all.
The tube is a great bait all year long. I fish it throughout the year, but since we're doing this winter fishing technique series, let's just talk about the winter. There's two main ways to fish the tube in the winter time. The first one is just a Texas rig. If I'm going to be pitching and flipping in shallow cover like wood, grass, around docks and stuff, say those days when it's really warm, we've had like a lot of sun, a couple days of sun, those fish will move up a little tighter to the bank and you can catch them around hard cover. And that's when I'm going to go to like a Texas rig tube, typically a 1/4 to 3/8 ounce weight, and I'm going to be flipping that around, pitching that around. Everybody gets those techniques mixed up. It's actually pitching. Flipping's like a fixed piece of line and you're going out there, but anyway, flipping, pitching, whatever, you know what I'm saying. Pitching that bait around hard cover up shallow. I'm going to be using a 7-foot to 7.4 medium heavy or heavy rod, depending on the stiffness of that rod. You want a little bit of tip. It just you're more accurate if you've got a little tip in that rod. But a lot of times I'm using the 7'4" heavy. That just works excellent for me. And 14 to 20 pound fluoro, depending on what you want, whatever you're used to. As far as hooks, there's a couple hooks that I've got pretty good experience with. The first one is kind of old school. It's an Eagle Claw HP hook. It's like a Shaw Grigsby old school. It's got the little clip on it. Let me show it to you. It's a pretty good little tube hook, if you can see that or not. It's got this clip. So the way that works, let me rig one of these up real quick for you. You're just going to go in through the head like that, going kind of shallow. You don't want to go in too far. You want to pull it up to here, spin it around, and then all you do is just clip that down right there. And then you come in through like that. So that's what you're left with. It's a pretty good tube hook. I mean, I've used that for years, but recently I found one that I like even better, and it is made by Owner. It's the Owner Cutting Point J style hook. It's got a really wide gap, which is something you need on a tube. There's a lot of meat on a tube. It takes a big gap to clear all that plastic out. Let me show you what I got here. So this is a 4/0 hook, but look at the gap on that bad boy. And that's what you need on the tube. You've got all that gap right there. This 4/0 is perfect for like a 4-inch tube. It works great. It's got this cutting point on the top where it rips through the plastic. You go through a lot of tubes, but this is a really good hook. For the hookup ratio is really good on this hook. I just found this last year. So Owner Cutting Point. As far as tubes, what kind of tubes do I use when I'm doing the Texas rig? There's a couple tubes I like. I like the Prowler tube, and I'm using natural colors, watermelon candy, green pumpkin, things like that. Prowler makes a pretty good tube for flipping. The other tube that I like, and this is one that I use most of the time, it's made by NetBait. It's the BK tube. The BK tube, and the reason I like the BK tube is it's got this little hard section in the nose. And these suckers are super, super salty. Down to about right here, there's a hard section. And what that does is it keeps your hook from sliding out of the tube. This is a really good tube for Texas rigging. If you haven't checked these out, do yourself a favor and get you a pack of them. They work really good, really good. I mentioned natural colors. If the water is dirty, I like black neon. I mean, that's what this color is. It's the black with the red fleck in it. That's a really good color in stained water. Works really great. The other way I like to fish a tube is rigged stupid. It's called a stupid tube. And I started fishing a tube this way probably 5 years ago. It's great. It's Texas rig. It's really weedless. It comes through wood really good. And let me show you what that is. So this is the stupid tube jig head. I use the 3/16 ounce most of the time, and this fits a size like a 4-inch tube really, really well. It fits in there just perfect for that. One thing you'll need to do on this tube is you'll want to take some pliers and bend this hook point out, because you can see it's in line with the line tie. That's not good. It's actually coming in a little bit. It's kind of EWG style. It's bent in. So you want to bend that out a little bit, and you'll want that point to be coming across the top of the eye. That'll increase your hookup ratio significantly. It's very important. It took me a couple years to figure that out. I missed a lot of fish before I started doing that. Let's talk about some of my favorite tubes that I've had experience with. The Zoom tube is a little bit easier to find. They're pretty common. You can find these just about anywhere, and it's a pretty good tube. You know, they're all uniform, they're all the same shape, they work. Green pumpkin, I like the natural hues in the wintertime. Same thing I talked about in the finesse jigs, which, by the way, if you didn't see that finesse jig video, I'll put a little tag right here, and I'll leave it on the end cards at the end. Same with the other winter fishing videos. I'll just go ahead and put all that at the end. You can check them out if you haven't had a chance to check them out. Another tube I like is the Chompers tube. I don't have this bag open, and I'm not going to, because it's got that garlic scent, and it is stanky. It'll stink up the whole entire basement. The dog will actually leave and run upstairs. It's pretty crazy. They're nasty. You get it all over your hands. If you rub your eyes, I mean, you can't see for days. This sucker works. Chompers makes a really good tube. They make a lot of good stuff. It's really, really stinky. My favorite tube by far is made by Charmers. Charmer Bait Company. Friend of mine, Charles Harden, used to own this company. He's recently sold it. Well, he sold it several years ago, but it's under new ownership, and they still sell them. It's still the same quality product. They make a great tube for this stupid tube rig. It's a 4-inch tube, and it fits perfectly in these hooks. Let me rig one of these up, and I'll show you how you do that. So we've got a green pumpkin tube here. What you want to do is you want to hold it upside down and get all these little tentacles to the side. Now, you're going to want this to sit inside of that tube right here. You don't want to crowd the nose, because it's just not going to lay in there right. I'll show you what it does when you do that. It makes it hump, and it causes all kinds of spiral. You want a little spiral, and you're going to get that no matter what, but you don't want too much spiral, because it's really going to twist up your line. So you want to hold this like this, hold it vertically with all your tentacles hanging down. Then you just take your hook, go in, thread it all the way till about a 1/4 inch from that nose, and then you're just going to pop it out. You're right there with that, okay? So make sure you continue to hold this vertically. You want to keep all these tentacles out of this hole, because when you push this head inside of here, if you don't, you're going to draw several of those tentacles in there, and then you're going to have to fight to get them back out. You don't want that. So now I want to take this ball head and get it right in the opening as close as I can, and before this little line tie goes in there, I just want to kind of lick it. It's real salty. It tastes great. Ugh. That's just going to lubricate this. It's going to allow this to slide down in there nice and easy. And you just get that eye in there and just work it down. Just pull it straight down, and you'll come to this point right here. Now this is another important spot, important part of this. You want to push on this tube and draw it back towards that hook point pretty far before you pop that eye through there. This is going to allow that thing to sit straight. You also want to kind of halfway line up where your hook's going through before you do that. So then you just squeeze down, you pop that eye. Here comes the eye. See there? Now look how that tube's gonna lay. It's gonna lay perfectly horizontal. And this is Texas rigged, Tex post. So you're just gonna come back and you're gonna run this through here, line it up, come out the top. Your hook's right here, and you just want to skin hook it. Just barely skin hook that. And it lays on there pretty good. Now, one thing I will do is, if you can see, this eye and this hook point are straight in line. That's not a good hook percentage setup. So I will take pliers and I'll actually bend this out. I'll open this up just a little bit, like probably a 32nd of an inch. Just trying to get that hook point to where it's faced above this eye. And that one little tip right there will considerably increase your hookup ratio. It makes a big difference. I fished these for quite a while, several years, well, probably 5 years or so. And I was having problems with hookups. And it's still not 100%. But you do that one little trick, you just take that and bend it up just a hair, and you'll probably hook up, I don't know, 25% more fish.
Yes, it is. Nice. Nice. There's belly on that dude. You got down deep. Well, we just pulled back to a different spot, slowed down, caught this fish on a tube. We noticed the shatter on the bottom in this area, so instead of throwing that A-rig and jerkbait, decided to slow down and paid off.
So that is the stupid tube. I'll take this and I'll shark the back, the tails of this. Let me show you my favorite colors in the Charmer line. I've got a lot of experience with the Charmer tubes, and my favorite color by far is called Deb's Dynamite. This color right here is killer. In the spring, in the winter, when the water's just slightly stained, it does some serious damage. And it's a pumpkin. It's got some gold and blue in there. Fleck, you probably can't see that, but you can get online, go check out their website. Deb's Dynamite. I got a lot of confidence in this color. It works great. The green pumpkin is standard. It's always good. The other colors that I have confidence in are the Big Easy. The Big Easy and Deb's Dynamite, you know, they're pretty standard colors. This is more of a kind of a melon. It's got a lot of different gold and red flake in there. It's a good color if you're wanting something a little bit different. And then as the water gets a little warmer into the spring and the crawfish really start coming out, because that's what this is mimicking, crawfish and little bluegill, I like this roadkill color. It's roadkill with red flake, and this has got a lot of red. You start to get that red in the crawfish. You know how it is in the spring. Red's a big color. Crankbaits, anything with red in it catches fish. So this is like a darker red. It's got that red fleck in it. Probably can't see that exactly, but the roadkill with red fleck, it's a good color when that water temps start getting in the low 50s. That's when I'm gonna start going with this a little more. Well, I'll stick to the Deb's Dynamite because that's an all-around dynamite color. What's up, Deb? Shout out to Deb. I actually know the story behind that. I can't remember. Charlie told me where that came from. Anyway, it's an interesting story. As far as rod and reel and line setup for fishing the tube, I like a 7-foot medium heavy. I'm fishing that on about 14-pound fluorocarbon. I like a 7-to-1 gear ratio reel. Seems to work out great for that. The rod that I've been fishing a lot is that smoke rod. You've heard me talk about it a lot. It's a great blank, but there's a lot of good rods out there. I would actually recommend something that didn't have micro guides. I've had a lot of problems with the micro guides on the smoke rods, but a 7-foot medium heavy rod, something the same type of setup you would fish like a finesse jig or some, you know, like a small swim bait. Seems to work really good for those tubes. It's got a little bit thicker hook, at least the hook that I'm using on the stupid tube. So you need something with a little bit of backbone, a little bit of tip, because it is light and you can skip it and cast it further with that lighter tip, that soft tip. but you need like an 80-20. When it gets down there about 20% past the tip, it starts loading up and you got some meat back there to drive that hook in. So 7 foot to 7'3", medium heavy rod. You know, 12 to 14 pound test. If you want to go 15, that's fine. And then a 7-to-1 gear ratio reel will get you where you need to go with that stupid tube. In the wintertime, put a tube in your arsenal. You got the finesse jigs, the shaky head, and the tube. Those are my 3 go-to baits when I'm fishing the bottom part of the water column. Guys, I hope this video really helps. Subscribe if you haven't. Hit the like, the bell notification. I'm doing a live stream with Backyard Bassin on Monday nights at 7. Dropping content Wednesday, Saturdays. Thanks for coming along. I really appreciate your time. You can spend your time anywhere, but I'm glad you cut out a little portion of it for me. And speaking of time, until next time.